So if you're a commercial pilot in training or already a commercial pilot, wet leases and dry leases are something that maybe you've heard of before. If not, let me introduce you to wet leases and dry leases. So the first thing that I'd like to point out, because I always like to give references for everything that I talk about, is the Truth in Leasing document. And this is an advisory circular, AC 9137 Bravo. So if you're joining us on YouTube or Discord, you can see this pulled up. If you're on the podcast, you can just Google search AC 91-37 Bravo. And that is the current Truth in Leasing advisory circular. And it's a decent advisory circular. And in the back of this advisory circular, it has figure 1, which is the sample truth in leasing clause. So I've got this pulled up on the screen here, and you can see basically this is an example of what a dry lease should look like. And this is required to be filed with the FSDO anytime that you're flying an aircraft that's over 12,500 pounds, or if it's a turbojet, turbofaner. So this wouldn't be required if you were operating some sort of piston, twin engine piston, let's say a Cessna 421. That's often a common one that maybe has multiple owners or might be involved in some sort of leasing scheme. It wouldn't necessarily be required to have a truth in leasing, document or this lease filed with the local FSDO like it is for a jet. So let's talk about, first of all, let's define what a wet and dry lease is, and then maybe talk about some scenarios of why we would have this. So a wet lease is a lease that involves the leasing of an aircraft and at least one crew member. That's a wet lease. A dry lease is a lease that involves just the aircraft and no crew members.